Good afternoon, sweet, lovely people. This is Butter Scud, better known as Leroy Gaffney, and this is the Go Hard Nation podcast. And I'm coming to you live from Norfolk, Virginia. You got a good one today, man. I feel good about this because this is something that our community needs, man. This is something that been plaguing us for a while. I'm hoping, man, we can have a little clarity on the situation and that it pertains to black art, black masculine art, which I do and I promote. So let's get to it. On this lovely day, my name, like I say, is Butter Scud, and we're going to talk about a few things, and it's about getting on code. That's right, y'all. It's time for us to get on code. We saw a lot of stuff go down in the YouTube situations. As far as this Purdy thing situation. We've been harping on it for a while, but I think now is the time to put it to rest. But it's a bigger picture going on right now. It's a larger feature of the black community that we need to hone in on so we'll know what's going on. The thing that I need to push towards you guys is the code thing that we've been talking about. That's right. We have a code that us black people need to face and follow. The problem with that is we see no reason in having a code. We see that code doesn't really work for us, man, because we're trying to integrate into other communities. We see that if we stick together more, we make ourselves a target for black people. We become the people that, of course, we're the opposition. We are considered opposition, and we're known as their opposition. Now, you can act like we're something else. You can act like we're allies in this. That's on you. But if you know your code, then you'll understand that your team doesn't have a playbook if it doesn't have a code. If you tell me that you can go up against a team and not have any plays ran or written out, or we're going to run a triangle defense, or we're going to run a Tampa 2 on somebody, and you tell me we just going to play football, and you're going up against a team that runs a Tampa 2, or a basketball team that has a triangle offense, and, they're setting up plays, and they're getting, 3-pointers off and stuff, then you're sadly mistaken if you think you're going to even compete with a team, even though you have some of the best athletes in the world, because you don't see the reason in having a code. All right, now, Scud, you're saying to yourself, what is the code that black folks need to be on? And that's a difficult question, but I'm going to give you an answer. The code is for the betterment of your community and the things that you need done, period. That means the betterment of your women, children, and workers, and how your culture will be enforced. Now you say, Scud, and that's kind of vague. That's kind of, that's all over the place. Let's get, and why do we need to do that? Not all black folks are good people. And that is true. A lot of us, we do negative things because some people can say, man, it's a moral thing. It's we're not a church. Some of us not church type, so we tend to be more criminal in our mindset and everything. And I can understand that, man, because a lot of guys do, man. If you leave your stuff around black people in certain communities, you're liable to get it taken or stolen. Or if you do certain negative things around people, you'll be like, man, he didn't even have to do that, man. We all black, and he just did that because and the way our music comes off, He comes off as, man, take advantage of your own black people. Now, don't get me wrong. White folks have the same issue. There's some white folks out there that's horrible people. And white folks know that those white folks are horrible people. However, in their code, it is for the betterment of the white community. Black folks don't feel we have to do anything to better our community because they feel as though white folks will better our community. Which is, which is a problem. Which is the issue that we have going through now because we can't have any powerful black institutions or people because we feel as though leave that to the white folks. Let them better you. Let them help you and be more productive in their community. And then when their community is built up and strong and your community is lacking, you're looking back like, damn, why we didn't do for our community? Because you're so busy living by their codes and their way of doing stuff that you disregarded your own community and businesses. See, and then what we do is we look for codes, right? We're looking for, all right, well, what's the black code? We can't get behind just saying the betterment of our culture for black folks and our kids and our families. Because to us, it was like, well, that means we're not being equal. And some would say that will make us black supremacists. And I heard that statement before, but see, you got to ignore that because that's not your wording. That's their wording. So if they call what you're doing black punks, I mean, they call themselves punks, but then they call you a black punk. And you be like, no, that's your wording. That's what you said about you. Don't put that on us. It's the same with them calling you trying to be a black supremacist because that's not your wording. We never said we wanted to reign supreme over white people. So don't think for you trying to better your people makes you a black supremacist. It just makes you a person that looks out for his kind and community and tribe. So overlook well, y'all are trying to be black supremacists. What's the difference between white supremacy and black? It's a whole different because y'all have a different mindset. That's your wording, not our wording. We never said anything about being a black supremacist. So do not fall into that back and forth with any person, white or black, about talking about black or white supremacy because that's their wording. Okay? I hope you're with me now. We're gonna dive a little deeper, so take my hand and walk with me. All right. How are we gonna figure out this code? This is a community thing. And the reason that we can get away from the code sometimes is because, or that we can not look at the code because, like I said, some of us do negative things. Some of us have a criminal element towards the stuff we do. But that does not mean that you cannot help those people. See, what they try to tell you is that if it's not morally right, it can't be enforced. However, white folks have always had, they always use morals to control their people, but they don't live by that all the time. A morality is something that they strive for. However, they don't live by that. And as us black folks, we always say to ourselves, if they're not doing anything to protect this and we're not talking equality, it can't be done. But it can be done because the code is to uplift the black culture, women and children, and us, the men. If you live by that code, you can't be put off by other situations that's put in front of you. Sometimes, like you said, man, we look at cooning and simps as, man, they just, but they're very dangerous people. They're very dangerous to the code that we have to uphold because the other side has codes that they uphold. They do have situations that's set up so that if they right or wrong, it don't matter. It's still their code. See, we since we don't have any code, we don't understand that other groups do. You know what I'm saying? Arabs, they're on the code. You know, they have an Arab code of, morality system, through their religion. They have a code system through their belief in their hierarchy and the situations that they're in. They got caste systems. The Asians have caste systems. The Asians have certain morals that they live by and all that. White folks have codes too. And one of the deepest and oldest codes is not just they sticking together, but they have something called the lost cause narrative. Now, this is not me alone saying this. Shout out to Crimson Cure, this beautiful lady. She has broken this code down. And if you really want to know exactly what this code means, you go to her podcast. I'm thinking it's the one that says Pearly is your woman king. If you want to see what that means, you go to her podcast. She would break it down to its very last compound. She'll break it down to the fraction. But I'm just going to allude to it. The lost cause narrative is just meant to excuse slavery in the eyes of white folks and black folks. But to use that to take away certain civil rights from black Americans. It is used to make out that slavery was not as bad as it portrays itself to be, and that basically it's a myth to say that the white folks were good. They were just doing what they had to do to survive and everything like that. But really, they know that that's a myth. They know that they was truly horrible in their practice of slavery. They use this situation so that we feel as though that we can trust them and that they got our best interests at heart. Because basically, when you listen to the lost cause narrative, they basically saying that you was happy with being slaves and that we were just facilitating your happiness by being your slave owner. And the North came down and messed this whole situation up with us because you was happy with being a slave. You understood your place in life, and these mean old Northerners came down here and broke all that up. Now, you could believe that myth if you want to. You could sit there and act like that's harmless. But when you have no code, and you got a people that's using this as their code in certain situations, you'll see that you have no recourse into fighting this. There's nothing you can do to fight somebody who believes in this myth. That fractures your people. That makes your people feel as though, well, if they were trying to help us and they had our best interests at heart, we should get behind them. They know that this was a myth and that this is a code that they use against you. And you was like, well, this was used back in the day to break up Reconstruction. But then another code pops up. This code is what they call critical race theory. Critical race theory is used so that you would not look back and see the code as being used against you by another group of people. You look back and you say, all these stories were, of terrible things, but Gone with the Wind and Django and all these movies that make slavery not so bad, and that we worked together to do this, 12 years a slave, and that really he was just a white guy that was here to help you the whole time, and then you look back, all right, well, let me use this practice in real life, and none of this stuff works. And then you're like, man, what happened? What happened to this equality thing? What happened to this critical race? Well, we use critical race so that you won't understand these certain things. We're using that so we can suppress slavery narratives and the true dynamic of white-black relations during the slavery times and period. So what we're going to do is we're going to wash your kids' history away, have them thinking that it was good to be a slave. It wasn't so bad. We really worked together. It was just an issue that popped up. When the whole time you're being excused and ignored because it was just a ploy to get you to leave us the F alone. Or stop asking those dumbass questions and fall in line. You know, you been asking a question about, well, if slavery's so good, why do all the black folks I know as old and young, and they dislike white folks so much? Oh, because they just was overreacting to certain stuff they heard, which is not true. I have grandparents that went through a whole lot of stuff I don't want to go into right now because they were of a certain hue or color. So you can't sit here and tell me that it was this great relationship between black folks and white folks. And in certain generations of people that I know, they were hostile. And they had a reason to be hostile. Okay? I'm making this point because these people know that their people ain't perfect. These people know that there's a certain amount of them that are criminal, hateful, disrespectful, and downright racist against you. On the other hand, as black folks, we think we can't have a code because everybody's not on the same page. You got some people that believe in one religion, can't be on a code with people that's on another religion. You got people that believe, hell, they live in one neighborhood or one street block, can't get along with people from another street block because they're not on the same street block, which is the stupidest thing next to this lost cause narrative that I've ever heard. But it's the truth. There's certain people that don't like certain colors. I've had arguments with people that say, I'm not going to deal with a person that eats a certain thing that I don't eat. Like this pork argument. One day we're going to get into that pork argument. But they use that to disenfranchise or dislike a certain group of black people so that we cannot all get together on the same code. So we have to get past the moral issue of this person and that person, this Christian, this Muslim, this Crip, this Blood, this pork eater, this non-pork eater, so that we can get on the same code of pushing our black culture for the benefit of our kids, our children, and our families. We can't come up with anything. Now I'm going to get to the point of the art. I've made clothing lines. I've made prints of art and everything like that. Like this is one of my jackets. If you can see, it's the Pimp Nature line. This is the hat, the Pimp Nature line. Sometimes I get a little pushback because people look at Pimp Nature as a derogatory narrative of black men, which if you put it in the sense of sex trafficking, maybe we can consider that a issue that can be addressed. But I don't want this to be. But Pimp Nature is not about that. Pimp Nature basically is a growing society that I'm trying to build, and I'm using pictures and designs and street vernacular to push the grow narrative. But that's another issue that we'll talk about later in life. I mean, later in the podcast we do. But I do want you to understand that just because I do things that's not pushed to prioritize kids and women all the time doesn't mean that it's not part of our community or things that we can talk about or even like. It seems like another reason we can't get on code, and I'm an artist, so I feel this sometimes, is that if it's not pushed towards kids or women, people look at it as negative. And that's because in other communities, the white communities, those people sell opium, Them people sell cigarettes, alcohol, all kinds of things to their people, and they're not considered negative or a problem in their community because that's their community is widespread and diverse. For some reason, to me, it seems like black folks don't want our communities to be diverse. They want us to be under one umbrella, which is Christian or Muslim or pork, non-pork eating, all this stuff. They want us to be under that umbrella, which leaves no wiggle room to do anything other than placate the kids and women. That's an issue, man. That's why we can't make the money we need to make. That's why us black artists are pigeon-toed in the pictures of black women in headdress and pictures of fathers just holding up their sons and daughters in the air and acting like that's all we're here to do. When there's more for a black man to do than just placate to his family. I know that sounds difficult. I know that's an aspect of our business life that a lot of people are not going to get behind, especially our women. Because they think if we're not doing for them and the kids, we ain't worth shit. But like I say, there's men that stormed the beaches of Normandy that didn't have kids and wives. Do you consider them not men? There's people that build bridges and roads all over this world and country that they just do it because they have a duty to their job to do this thing. May or may not have kids or wives. Do that make them not men? And black men do not get fooled into thinking that just because you don't run and placate to a woman's wants and needs, that what you do is not worth doing. So if you're making art, if you're making things, that stuff don't always have to placate to what a woman and her kids need. That's being a woman's tool doesn't make you a man. Being your kid's tool, or that's all you do is chase behind your kids, do not make you a man. That's part of being a man, but it doesn't make you a man. So you got to understand that sometimes the things we do will not always be looked at in a positive light. The artwork I do, sometimes it might not be looked in a positive light, but there's people out there like it, black or white. And that's where the diversity comes in. People know when they're being played. You ain't shit and you out here trying to sell kids books or be a preacher. We know that preacher man is out here doing something negative, but we're not going to sit here and we're not going to just sit here and listen to it. However, if he's a righteous man, I'll listen to a righteous man's speech. I'll listen to a righteous woman's, storyline and everything like that. But I know when I'm being played. I know when I'm being, you tell me one thing, but you live another way. So this is the thing that we're going to have to deal with. This all plays in our code. And the code should just be the betterment of the black community. That doesn't mean to the detriment of anyone else. That just means bettering your people, your culture. Sometimes if you're a rapper, you can say stuff that's negative. You can say stuff about other things that's not right. But are you living positive now? Do you send your kids to college, or are you making them hustlers and rappers and crackheads? That's the issue. That's where we have the problem. That's why we downplay a cat like Michael Jordan for making expensive sneakers and thinking he's the one wrong with making the sneaker because our people were killed behind it. Or a rapper like Jay-Z who had to sing about negative stuff and stuff they have to go through with people. But as him saying that negative stuff, he should be disbarred from the black community, or he should be put down because he's made a certain line or story that somebody didn't agree with because it didn't help women and children or your fellow man. Sometimes these are just stories that need to be told. So if we live by that code of black people uplifting their culture, friends and family, we can have some things in life. But if you always use, if you are a coon and you feel as though, well, man, we don't need no code. We need to do what make money. All right, go that route. Go that route. Just do everything because you want to make some money and see what happens when that money dries up or when they find you not useful. And you figure out that, damn, all right, the money ain't there, or even if the money's there, I don't have any white allies or black allies because I haven't picked a side. You'll figure it out then. You know, that's one thing I realize, man. You know, you can make money with anybody. But if you're not true to yourself, you know, sometimes I go out, I love that street love. People on the street show me love because I'm genuine about what I do. I wouldn't turn my back on black folks, but then again, I will work with white folks, long as they don't make me turn my back on black folks. That's the code. That's what I'm pushing for all of us to understand, is that you can work with anyone, long as they don't make you disrespect your own people. Now, if you do it on your own, that's fine because you had a reason, but do not let a white entity or a white person talk you in or pay you to be a paid agent against your own people. See, that's where the issue with the rap and the artists and all that come from. Because, you know, as much as I dislike a lot of Tyler Perry stuff, at least he did it to himself. No white person came to him and said, you need to dress up in a dress like Madea to degrade your own people. He did it because that was something he came up with, and he used that to help help his pockets, which in turn could help his community. But if you're doing a white project and she turns around and make you do some negative stuff, some effeminate stuff, make you pull guns on your people and everything like that, then, and you didn't come up with that idea, then yeah, that's the issue. That's where you go. That's when you're off code. So I hope that we can get each other aligned in. I hope you can understand better what the code is. I hope we can work together to be more constructive, to have better ties together. I hope we can come together and make some money. You know, if it's something that black folks don't understand or like, we come together as a group and say to ourselves, we don't let somebody sell negativity to ourselves. I know it sounds weird, but whatever we feel negative, we can check at the barbecue. We ain't not going to let other people sell us a negative game plan or product, and we accept it. So we'll delve into this more. I was glad we could talk, man. I'm still around here working with, I have a lot of new equipment that I'm trying to set up. I'm trying to do some screen on screen so we can get back to the art. This weekend's been it's been an experience. So, but we back on track, fellas. We're trying to get this Go Hard Nation podcast up and running. I'm trying to bring in a few other people to help with the situation. And anyone out there that thinks they can help me or have any ideas to let me know what's going on, please let me know. I would like for you to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube and on Facebook. You can like, you know, we can become Facebook friends and we can, you know, chop it up and we can make this situation bigger and better than what it is. I hope to see you soon. I'm gonna roll out right now and hope for you in another video in the near future. Peace and love, everyone, from the Go Hard Nation and the Go Hard Nation podcast. This is Butter Scud, and I am out. Thank you.